All right, so I heard that we are struggling with cross canceling. So it's going to be a two-part video tonight. The first part is going to really reinforce cross canceling, and then the second part will dive into dividing fractions. So go ahead and copy down the objectives for the video tonight. If you know how to cross cancel, you can go ahead and fast forward up until you get to the point where it says I will learn, until we get to the topic, the slide that says dividing fractions. If not, if you're struggling with cross canceling, go ahead and stay here, and I'll try and do my best to show you what you need to know about cross canceling. So go ahead and pause your video and write down your objectives for me right now. I'm going to give you some time. I'm going to go ahead and pause myself and give you time to write that down. Okay, so we're back. And I'm going to go ahead and start by showing you a couple examples here. This original problem was 4 over 7. Looks like my pen is not working. Okay, here we go. 4 over 7. And remember, we don't use the x anymore, so we're going to either use that or we're going to use a parentheses now. But I know these examples are old and probably more elementary than middle school. So here we have 4 over 7 times 1 over 6. Okay, so what we want to look for is how to cross cancel. We want to look to see if any of these numbers are divisible. Okay, can we divide this and this 4 and this 6 by the same number? As you notice here, we can divide 4 by 2 and we can divide 6 by 2. So that's what we're going to do. See, so we said 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we cross out the 4 and it becomes a 2. 6, when it's divided by 2, is 3. So we cross out the 6 and we call it a 3. It's the same number, we've just simplified it. Okay? And then we have our new problem, 2 over 7 times 1 over 3. And we can simply multiply straight across. Right? 2 over 7 times 1 over 3. And just to make it more clear, this becomes our new problem. 1 over 3. And we are going to straight multiply across. 2 times 1 is 3. 7 times 3 is 21. Okay? So this example showed us an example where we can actually cross cancel across my signs. And remember, it has to be top to bottom and over your multiplication sign. Okay? Go ahead and pause and copy this down. Okay, so hopefully you have this all copied down. I'm going to go on to the next slide. And we're going to look at 3 other examples. Okay, well, this example is really exactly what we just did. Here we looked at these numbers, 3 over 5 and 5 over 8. Now 5 and 5, okay, they can divide by each other, right, by themselves. So 5 divided by 1 is 5. 5 divided by 1 is 5. Makes my new problem 3 times 1 over 1 times 8. And it gives me a 3 over 8. Now this problem here, so that's one example where you can cross cancel 1. One pair, I guess I want to say. One diagonal pair. Here, we can actually cross cancel both. So this one here is like our first example, right? We can cross cancel just these diagonal. That's what I'm looking for. But you can't. 3 and 8, they're not part of the same fact family. They don't divide evenly by one number. So we're not going to divide these by 3 and end up with a fraction down here. We want to actually make it easier to do the multiplication, not harder. But here, if we look at 3 and 3, they're both divisible by 3, right? 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. That's our new, we've simplified this pair. But then we can also look at this pair here, 10 and 2. Both 10 and 2 we can divide by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my new problem says 1 times 1, which is 1, and then the denominator say 5 times 1, which is 5. So you can cross cancel one pair, you can cross cancel both, and here is our third one where we're going to look at it and we're going to notice that 3 and 8, well, they don't cross cancel, right? That's these up here. And then 4 and 3, they don't cross cancel either. So there may be a case where none can cross cancel. None of them. So go ahead and give yourself a minute and copy this down. Pause your video here, make sure you get all this written down into your notes page, and then resume with the video. Okay, so using the multiplication chart, it's going to help us just to look at our fact families, okay? So here I'm going to look at 9 and 1, and I'm going to go to my highlighter, and I'm going to look at 1, and if I highlight my 1s, I'm going to come to 9 here, right? When I go to my 9s, I have to stop at 9. Okay, I don't go any further than there. So my multiples of 9 are what? They're whatever these are, right? So 1, 1, and 9. 9 just has 9. So can I divide 9 by 1? Yes. Can I divide 9 by 9? Yes. But they're the same numbers, and it's not going to change my equation in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to go ahead and erase those because that's not going to work. It's not going to do me a darn bit of good. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight now 8 and 2. So I go 8 to 8, that's 1. But if I go 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. So now I have 8 and I have 8. These are my multiples, right? But 8 is divided by 2, right? Can you divide 8 by anything else? So 2 times 8, 2 times 4 is 8, right? But I can't divide 2 by 4. So can I divide 2 by 4? Yes. I can divide 2 by 4. I mean 2 by 2. And I can also divide 8 by 2. Right? Here's 8. So if I divide 8 by 2, I also have to divide 2 by 2. 8 divided by 2 becomes a 4. And remember, we're using parentheses or the point. 1 I don't change, but 2 divided by 2 becomes 1. So if I'm multiplying 4 times 1 and 9 times 1, my answer becomes 4 over 9. It's simplified. By cross-canceling, 8 divided by 2 became 4. 2 divided by 2 became 1. There's my new problem. So let's look at this one down here. Now I have 9 and 3. Let me go ahead and erase these up here. Go back to my highlighter. And here's 3. 3, 6, 9, and then 9. So 9 works for 3, right? So 9 can be divided by 3, and 3 can be divided by 3. So I can divide both 3 and 9 by 3. They're the members of the same fact family. So when I divide 9 by 3, I get 3. When I divide 3 by 3, I get 1. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at 10 and 2. So I'm going to go by 2's. So I'm going to highlight my 2's. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Perfect. 2 can be divided by 2, and 2 can also be, or 10 can also be divided by 2. So when I divide 10 by 2, my answer is going to be 5. Here's my new fraction. And when I divide 2 by 2, my answer is 1. So my new fraction over here is going to be 1 over 1. When I multiply them together, 3 times 1 equals 3. 5 times 1 is 5. So I have a much more, my fraction is already simplified. I don't have to worry about it getting bigger or having to simplify it anymore or reduce it, because I already did the division over here, and then my answer is in its simplest form. Okay, I'm going to stop the video here, and then I'm going to restart another video. So like I said, if you're not struggling with cross canceling, go on to the next one. If you have to watch this again, go ahead, but I'm going to pause here and then continue another video where I'm going to just strictly go over dividing fractions.